And welcome back to the Public Offender Channel, man. I got another banger for you. This one here a little bit crazy.
Sean Puffy Combs' federal charges have little, if anything, to do with domestic abuse or pedophilia. His major sex crime federally is he's being accused of transporting women across state lines to engage in sex.
Dr. Umar, before we get into this, I just want you to know I understand the nuance. And when it comes to these types of things, when we talk about like race, racism, and things of that nature, right? I get it. But you must understand that this is not the time to do this. It's just important for us as Black men and people to understand this is not the time to do it. You don't do it with a person like Puff Daddy. He's not a martyr, right? Whatever he's going to jail for doesn't matter, to be honest with you at this point, because he has done so much stuff that he should be in prison for, right? So there's no need in you like coming to his defense right now. It looks bad, but I think that you don't care about that. You care more about protecting the image of Black men, more than you care about Black men actually being better people and doing better, right? A lot of you self-proclaimed blackity black pro Black dudes, y'all will go out on a limb to protect the image of the Black man. By any means, it doesn't matter if you throw other people under the bus, or in this case, it doesn't matter if you ignore all the harm and damage that this Black man has done. Doesn't matter. All you want to do is protect the image of the Black man, right? And at this point, I mean, it's abundantly clear that you don't care about women at all. You definitely don't care about Black women specifically. I don't think you really care about Black men either, but I do think you care about the image of Black men. And I think you care about the image of Black men to some extent. But if you truly cared about the image of Black man, about the image of Black men, you would be asking Black men to be better people, like in a real way, not in the little bullshit lazy way that you be talking about.
Sean Puffy Combs' federal charges have little, if anything, to do with domestic abuse or pedophilia. His major sex crime federally is he's being accused of transporting women across state lines to engage in sex. What we call prostitution. Not Casey, not the freak-offs, not underage girls, but prostitution. Why am I bringing this up? Because I don't support prostitution either. I do not support men paying for the sugar box. I do not support Black women having to sexually exploit their sugar box in order to pay their bills.
If you really don't like prostitution and you don't want women to be forced or put in a position to where they feel like, or they really don't have any other option outside of selling their vaginas, then you should fight really hard to change the system. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that is what drives women to do that, right? You also should fight against misogyny, because that is what drives men to pay for it. Because we don't see women as human beings. We see them as commodities. We see them as things to be bartered and exchanged and bought. So if you want to change it, you have to start attacking misogyny and capitalism.
With that being said, prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth. Prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth.
It's not. The oldest business for women is giving birth to kids. That's the oldest business. The reason why I say that is that's the thing that men have ultimately paid the most for, is to secure their lineage. And that was the first thing that they did. It was to secure their lineage. The second thing was the labor of women, right? So women doing the chores, women working, whatever, right? Number one, number two. Then prostitution. When they say the oldest profession is prostitution, I wholeheartedly disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. It was not.
Prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth. It is.
Marriage is a business, Umar. And when fathers were selling off their prepubescent daughters, that was a business. So that's not the oldest. That is a, I mean, men control that business, I guess, but men control prostitution too. That was a form of prostitution if you wanted to look at it technically, right?
The sexual trafficking that Sean Puffy Combs is being accused of. Not domestic abuse, not freak-offs, not stomping out Cassie, not engaging in sex with underage women. It is interstate sexual trafficking.
What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? It's not that bad. It's not as bad as being accused of a pedophile. Like, is that your point here? God damn, y'all. Black man, come on, man. We could do better than Dr. Umar. This guy, this is crazy.
That is the charge. Why am I bringing this up?
Because you're a minor and you hate black women and you don't care about their pain or trauma or experiences, especially when it happened at the hands of black men, and you'll do anything to run cover for dangerous black men, as long as it protects the image of black men, even if it comes at the expense of black women.
I'm bringing this up, peace God, because when I listen to the news, they're not talking about the evidence against Sean Puffy Combs. When I listen to the news, they're not talking about the evidence of Sean Puffy Combs. When I listen to the news, I have yet to hear anybody give me a specific piece of interstate sex trafficking evidence against Sean Puffy Combs.
Why would they have that right now? Why would they give you that evidence right now before trial? When has that ever happened? Seriously, when has that ever, like what he's describing? I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm saying it's definitely been times when it didn't happen, and then they did have the evidence the whole time, though. So what are you talking about? Give it to them so the lawyers could get a head start in refuting it? Like, no. The fuck? You don't try the case in public. You know what I'm saying? This is not in the court of public opinion. They don't have to present the evidence right now.
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it for the low political IQ Negroes. I'm going to say it for the average political IQ Negroes. And I'm going to say it for the high IQ Negroes. I
don't know where I'm at on that one by Dr. Umar standards, but I will tell you, Dr. Umar, you aren't that high. You don't understand politics that well at all.
Haven't seen or heard a single piece of evidence against Sean Puffy Combs. I ain't read it in the New York Times. I ain't read it in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I ain't heard it on CNN. I ain't seen it on headline news. Where is the evidence that Sean Puffy Combs engaged in interstate sex trafficking? I keep hearing about Cassie when I turn on the news. Why are we hearing about Cassie?
Because Cassie, like you already said, was stomped by Diddy. So let's keep talking about Cassie. Let's keep talking about her story. Also, talking about that is that shows the type of character that Diddy has. Talking about all the other stuff surrounding this case, so leading up into this, is perfectly fine, and we should. You want to look at this in a vacuum? They're not going to do that in court. You don't think they're going to bring up all the other shit too? Whatever they can get, whatever the prosecution can get through, right? Whatever the judge deems to be admissible in court, that's what's going to get through. That is what you do. They're making the case against him. You're acting like this is new. You're acting like they only do this to black men or something. They do this. This is what we do in the court of public opinion. This has happened many a times. Black, white, and everything in between.
When Cassie has nothing to do with the federal indictment.
She does. Her story does. Yeah, they're not indicting her, and I wish they could, but they're not indicting her. They're not indicting him for what he did to her. But her story, like, so if other women come forward when this whole thing plays out and they say, yep, Diddy stomped me like he did Cassie, then will you say, oh, well, Cassie's story matters now? Knowing what he did to Cassie, knowing how well he hit it for as long as he hit it, it speaks to the character of Diddy, of Sean Combs. So now when they say, oh, he was abusive in nature, he was abusive to these women, to these men, to his staff, it's easier for me to believe. I go, oh, yeah. Now, if it was nothing, and this, I would be like, oh, damn, this is kind of crazy. Where did this come from? If I never heard nothing about Diddy, here's what I'm saying. If they came out with this story about Denzel, and I hate to bring up Denzel in this, because he don't believe Denzel or LeBron or something like that, I would be like, yeah, Umar, this is fair. This is fair to a certain extent. Even I wouldn't do this, but I'm saying, like, okay, maybe he has somewhat of a point, but it's not them. It's Sean Combs, who we've been hearing. We have been hearing about his exploits for 30 years. The woman who Sean Combs allegedly shot in the face in that club came on my live and told me to my face that he did it to her. She said it. This is 20 years later. She said it to me. She said it in front of about 700-800 people, plus however many people saw it live. On top of the people that was in there, I'm saying. I heard her say it. She said it. She said it. She said it. I think her name is Jewel the Dropper on TikTok, by the way. Shout out to Jewel the Dropper. I think that's her. I'm sorry if it's not. Sorry, Jewel, if it isn't. But I think that's her handle on TikTok. Sweet woman, nice woman, lovely woman. She came on my live and told me that about him. Shine just came out and said, yeah, he threw me under the bus. I forgave him and all, but he threw me under the bus. This speaks to the character of Diddy. This is how it works. His protection is falling apart. So now people are becoming less and less afraid to talk about the things that he did. Should the news ignore that? Should media ignore that? Because it isn't included in the indictment? What the fuck? This is disgusting.
I don't think any black man should have 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Umar is completely unserious, by the way. It's moments like this where I see he's a full grifter and bullshitter.
Federal indictment. I don't think any black man should have 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Like what?
I don't think any black man needs 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
That's what you focus on? Oh, never mind. Let me keep going.
But I haven't seen anywhere in federal law where owning 1,000 bottles of baby oil is a federal crime.
Once again, that I get it. The tabloids are sensational. Things like that are sensational. Why do you need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? But look, if OJ was on trial, OJ was on trial for murdering Nicole, right? And John Goldman. Now they said OJ. They said, shout out to Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran proved beyond a shadow of a doubt in the court of law that OJ Simpson didn't do it. Cool. You can believe it or you cannot. But that's what happened in the court of law. Now, if it came out beforehand, right? Or I'm sorry, this did come out. OJ used to have a deal with isotoner gloves, if I'm not mistaken. He had a deal with isotoner gloves, right? The very glove, the glove that didn't fit, right? Remember that? The very gloves that didn't fit him, he had a deal with that company. He had a deal with that company, right? So if they went into to his car or his house and he had 1,000 gloves, and then it come to find, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then there was a glove used in the you're gonna be like, I'm not saying he's guilty, which I'm sure he did have 1,000 gloves, but I'm saying that doesn't automatically show that he was guilty. But there's a connection of all the gloves, of all the brands of gloves. It wasn't a rubber glove, you know what I'm saying? It was an isotoner glove. The company had to deal with it matters. They're talking about freak offs, they're talking about lube, they're talking about baby oil in the indictment. They're saying those things are mentioned in the indictment. They go to Diddy's house. He has 10,000 bottles of the shit. There's a fuck right there. That's just pointing to something in there has already been proven to be true. Something in the indictment has already proven to be true, right? It's not about like, but we get how media works. You know how media works. You're a sensationalist yourself. Everything you say is sensationalized. Now you're acting like you don't understand why they would highlight that.
Brothers and sisters, are you with me so far?
No.
Brothers and sisters, are you with me so far?
No, I'm not.
Do you understand, overstand, and understand what the most requested black scholar in the world is saying right now?
Listen to this bullshit right here. This nigga, hey, bro, Umar, seriously, if you gonna talk this tough black people, black unite shit, stop doing this shit, bro. Like, I wasn't alive during the civil rights movement, right? During the thick of it, actually, because it's still been a civil rights movement, it never stopped. It just died down a lot. But I didn't hear everything that Malcolm said. I didn't hear everything Martin said. I didn't hear everything Kwame Ture said. I didn't hear everything James Baldwin said. I didn't hear everything Nikki Giovanni said. I didn't hear everything Angela Davis said. I didn't hear everything that the chairman Fred Hampton said. But I know for a motherfucking fact that none of them said this.
With me so far. Do you understand, overstand, and understand what the most requested black scholar in the world is saying right now? Do you understand and overstand and understand what the most requested black scholar in the world is saying right now?
This is pathetic. This is even beneath Umar. This is pathetic. This is goofy. Self-promotion while you're disregarding the traumas of the people that suffered at the hands of Diddy, like black women, a lot of black women. Call Cassie the wrong name, Casey. Like, God damn, man. This is what we got. I'm so happy. This is why I don't give a fuck about a black leader. Couldn't care less. You be a leader. Everybody, all of us need to be leaders. Lead yourself.
Do you understand, overstand, and understand what the premier Pan-Africanist on the planet is saying to you right now? Baby oil is not a federal crime. Stomping out Cassie, he was not charged with a crime. The freak-offs are not crimes.
The freak-offs could be crimes if he coerced those people into doing them, which the indictment allegates. It alleges. Sorry, I said allegates. It alleges. It alleges that he would use his power to manipulate people, to control people, and to get them to do things against their will. He also would allegedly drug people. Umar, if you read it, you would know that. That's what it says in there. So yeah, the freak-offs would be a problem. And if those freak-offs if the people involved, if some of the people involved in the freak-offs were sex workers that he transported across state lines, the freak-offs would actually be a point of contention.
So why do we keep hearing about Cassie? Why do we keep hearing about baby oil? Why do we keep hearing about freak-offs? Where are the federal charges, and why are the charges being sealed? Why did the feds seal the charges against Sean Puffy Combs? I'm going to tell you one reason why the feds sealed the charges against Sean Puffy Combs.
Because he's really rich. He has a lot of power, and he has a lot of crazy ass lawyers, and he has a crazy fan base and all types of stuff. And they don't want the shit to get out, and they don't want they don't want to, they probably want to protect some of the people involved in it. That's what I think.
One of the biggest reasons they sealed the charges against Sean Puffy Combs is because the evidence is probably weak. The evidence is probably weak. And because the evidence is probably weak that he is guilty of interstate sex trafficking, and because the evidence is probably weak that he is guilty of interstate sex trafficking.
Like this, imagine back in the like Prohibition days when when everybody was making their money. This would be the equivalent of like coming out and defending Al Capone when the feds got him for tax evasion, but they didn't get him for all the other stuff that he was doing, but they got him on tax evasion, which he did commit tax evasion. They proved it, right? That's the thing that they got him on. They hit him with a RICO charge, right? Okay, cool. That's what they got him on. Imagine coming out and being like, why are y'all talking about Al Capone allegedly being behind all the drive-bys with the Tommy guns and blowing up candy shops? And you know what I'm saying? Like, why would y'all be talking about that? That's not the Indian indictment. They're charging him with tax evasion. Why did they seal it? I think it's a weak case. Like, what the fuck? No, that's not what's going on.
They had to seal the charges. They had to hide the charges from you and I. They had to hide the charges from you and I long enough for the public execution to be carried out. Sean
Diddy has been getting publicly executed for a long time, and deservedly so. Are you denying that he should be getting publicly executed right now? Are you against it? Why are you of all the black men to protect? Why are you protecting Diddy? And it's because the crimes that Diddy committed, allegedly, right? And the ones that we know of, were all against black women. Umar doesn't give a fuck. And most black men don't either. Most men don't care. When you commit crimes against women, men don't, they all, shit. Y'all out here blaming Cassie for what happened. You can't just leave bad enough alone and just be like, zip your fucking lips about it. Nope, you got it. Y'all taking an extra step and being like, oh, she deserved it because she went after a man with money. Like, God forbid a woman one gets with a rich man. God forbid a 40-year-old man fucking manipulates a 19-year-old woman. Like, man, yeah, it's over, man. It's over. I haven't taken Umar seriously in years, but I would never take Umar seriously. Ever. Umar is an agent of anti-blackness. He is against black people while masquerading and parading around as the Pan-African prince and all of that shit. This shit is crazy. He is none of those things. Using Hotep lingo. You understand, overstand, and understand. Shut the hell up.